constructing the building after repairing it, pouring concrete floor and all this stuff. And we had as our interpreter, Michelle Collier. Of course, she teaches Spanish. And she would interpret for us as we were working there. Of course, we mixed the concrete in the middle of the street. There's no paved roads as far as I remember in that town. It's a black community, actually. Anyway, we were working vigorously trying to get all the things done we were trying to do. And Michelle was over there talking to this lady and talking to her in Spanish. And then Michelle said, "Hey, stop. We got to have a baptism." And Jerry said, "We don't have time for a baptism. We got to finish the building." The concrete is wet. We got to work this concrete. So we stopped and we went down to the river, Chiapas River, and baptized this lady. But I thought that was a wonderful experience, and our college students really gained a lot. The thing I appreciate, and I'm going to say this about the work in Ecuador, is their mission philosophy. The mission philosophy is very important. When I went to Harvard Graduate School, I had the opportunity to take mission courses under Dr. George Garganis and Wendell Brew, probably two of our most knowledgeable mission people in our fellowship era. And one of the things I say is it's important when we do mission work, is to establish indigenous churches. And what they mean by that is to establish a church that is appropriate for the culture, plus that these churches will be self-supporting as quickly as possible. And that has been the basic philosophy of my understanding, I assume it still is, of this work. And it's like this. You can teach you can give a person a fish to feed for a day. But if you teach a person how to fish, and that's what's been the emphasis on Ecuador, training native preachers, because native preachers can reach their own much better than American people. We have spent a lot of money, and it's good to send Americans down there, but it's far more efficient to train natives, and they can reach their own. And then one of the things I've been very impressed with in the Quito school, not only they're teaching people the Bible, how to preach, how to teach, and how to share the gospel, but also they've been training them vocationally, so that when they go out to these communities, these guys can be self-supporting. They don't have to depend so much on American money. Now, it takes a little money, American money, to get it kick-started and going. But as soon as they can be on their own, is that still true? So I don't mean to take all your time. But that's been what has impressed me about it. Of course, they're training preachers, not just for the nation of Ecuador, but all over the Spanish-speaking countries of South America. So it's my pleasure to present to you Kent Martin.
Well, I need to take you around with me to churches. You do a great introduction. I'm convinced. Thank you, Bob. And if you've been in Bourbon, and he said that's where he started, and if you came back after Bourbon, that as quickly as Bourbon. And I wish I had a picture of it. The building that you guys restored. This building was in terrible shape. It was more than you can imagine. They had a conference there of that part of the coast. It's been a couple of years ago. And I was excited to see that building used and just overflowing with people that came in for that conference, which is the conference was held by the School of Bible. And, so people from all the coast were there appreciating that concrete floor that you poured. And hopefully it didn't get too dry before the baptism was over. Yeah, I can hear Jerry. It's good to be here with you. And I'm not sure if this is a throw together class or if this was David's class or what, but I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to share as much as I can about Ecuador, and we'll see how this is going to work. Yep, we're doing well. Charlotte can't travel with me these days. She hasn't traveled in several months. She gets back spasms when she sits in the car very long, traveling, 3 or 4 hours. I should stop more often, I guess, but still that doesn't fix it. And then she'll be down really not doing well for a good while afterwards. So it's been best for her to kind of stay behind the last several months. And that's rare for us because she's always been exactly wherever I have been. And our ministry's been very much something that we both do together always. So we miss her when she's not here. And this is Mother's Day, so we did talk to her. The guy on the left is Joshua. He's our oldest, going to turn 43 this month, and that's hard because I'm just 49. I lost count, so we've got some grandchildren growing in Ecuador, and he's the head of the School of Bible now, and has been for, I'm thinking this is the 7th year since I stepped out of that position and turned it over to him. So they're the boots on the ground, and along with our daughter is there with her family as well, and working in child care. And then there's a family, there's a couple families that are U.S. families that are working in Camp Bellevue or on the Cayapas River. We'll introduce some of those as we go along. I don't have a screen back here, so I'll turn around every once in a while. Bob gave you a pretty neat overview, and I was trying one more time to communicate this morning by writing something of what we feel Operation Ecuador is all about. It's a harmony of various ministries under one umbrella, for lack of another word. The School of Bible being the hub of that ministry because it turns out the workforce for church plants and for the other ministries, the two that are listed there. Kumani is the work in the northwest jungle of Ecuador, and I'll be there next Sunday, actually, Lord willing, and COVID don't get out of hand. We'll be there and sharing the Lord with the churches that are along the river banks of the Cayapas River there in the northwest corner of Ecuador. Kumani's a wonderful work. You guys have helped even with that by getting our kitchen going when we were starting to host medical groups. It was a pretty barbaric situation, and some of the buffs came in and helped us. The very first team that came down and worked there in 2000, that would have been 2010. So a few years have gone by. Camp Bellevue is a camp up an hour and a half north of Quito, and it does camp things like we think of camps, but mostly it's an outreach to impoverished children in the area who work in those flower plantations, the flowers that you're talking about that come every night to both the United States and to Europe out of Ecuador. And so those people are working on very much a minimum wage, and Camp Bellevue opens its doors every afternoon to them as kind of an afternoon school where a lot of Bible is taught. So I'll show you a few pictures. Camp Bellevue started probably broke ground in 97, and it's been built up from just bare, worn-out farm ground to a camp that holds about 200 people or children, whatever, at the same time. We use it for retreats, conferences, children-type camps, etc. and it's organized or overseen by the Bellevue Church of Christ in Bellevue, Washington, and the Campbell family with their little strange picture there administrate that. It is interesting that my son Joshua, his wife is sister to Rusty's wife Laura, and they were raised in Kenya on the mission field. So on the equator, just a different continent. And so they both married and found their way to Ecuador with wives, with sisters. And anyway, Camp Bellevue is a great place. It does some good stuff, reaches out to the community. Again, its purpose is church planting, reaching souls, not just providing some kind of a entertainment situation. And you think about, if you really want to reach families, when you do good by their children, when you help their children learn English and take care of them every afternoon, help them with their schoolwork, teach them some crafts, etc., even shower them and give them some clothes at times, that makes an impression in those families' lives. And the church has been established in some communities up in that area as well. Kumani is very much a remote. If you want to go to one of the most remote corners of Ecuador, come with me and we'll go in on Thursday, and you can experience kind of stepping back in Africa. I always wanted to go to Africa, actually. That's where I wanted to go. I thought God wanted me to go to Africa. I'd listened to Gurganis and some of those people, and I applied when I was a single guy at Lubbock Christian to go work with my ag degree and either work on their ranch or teach biology, etc., in the school that was in one of the countries in Africa. And they wrote back and said they didn't take single men. They were irresponsible and rode motorcycles all over Africa. And I thought, I don't even ride motorcycles. But I was turned down. Well, I met Charla right after that. Thought, okay, now I got a wife. I can go to Africa. So I applied my last year. We were engaged to go to another place in Africa, and I don't remember. That's probably good that I don't remember the names of the countries or even who I corresponded with. Probably didn't have a good way of writing resumes at that time, but I applied to do the same thing. They had a ranch, and I was born on a ranch and had a degree in agriculture and a strong minor in Bible, and so we were ready to go. They wrote and said, we don't take newlywed couples. They start having babies and immediately go back to the States. And so God just didn't open a door to Africa. Found my way to Central America and then to South America, and that's where we've spent our life. My point was that Kumani, this river on the Cayapas, is almost like stepping into an African environment. You find the Afro-Ecuadorian villages all along the river, and then as you get upriver, you find the Chachi Indians who speak Chapala and Spanish. See if I can move this along. It's a beautiful place. We have built it up now from just being the thatch roofs and bamboo floors that we initially purchased there in 2009. They tended to be just fire hazards and homes for rats and snakes. So we eventually tore all that down, and everything's now built out of a good, strong, solid, safer wood structures, both where you sleep, a shower house. We can put up groups of about 50, and that's a good medical mission size of a group. And so it's available. We take really good care of our people that go in, and God's blessed the work now that 3 congregations will meet today. They're not too much into the COVID scene there, and even though the rest of Ecuador is very limited on the river, who cares? It's kind of out in the open anyway. And so we have 6 evangelists. So what Bob's sharing is that the School of Bible has been that ministry training, and now we have 6 of those graduates who work 2 weeks in and 1 week out on a rotational basis to go in and evangelize these multiple villages along the riverbanks of the Cayapas. So we've built or meet in about 3 different places right now and have kind of a canoe ministry to get people to those locations. Great ministry. Come go with us sometime. It'll change your life. This is our multi-purpose, our mess hall really is what it is. It's where we eat. Everything's open there. It's kind of nice. You can build cheaper buildings there. Don't worry about heating or cooling. You just kind of learn to sweat, and if you can move some air, you would do good to pipe in some West Texas wind to the jungle area, and it would solve all the problems of how to stay cool. But it's just showing kind of a different setting for pretty formal at the bottom. Up at the top, you'll see just somebody's house is where that's being taken. And sitting down, you go to one of those house meetings, and they'll offer you a bench. They really want you to sit down because you're an honored guest. The trouble is that bench is only about 5 inches from the floor. And so the most awkward thing is to see a long-legged North American trying to sit on that bench gracefully. But anyway, that's kind of what that setting is, and it's a blessing to hear them sing in Chapala and in Spanish as well. So we do medical mission groups and have a lot of fun. It's always a blessing to be there. We have not. Our last medical mission was in February of last year. We got the big group out and on their way. We followed them 5 days after we came back to the States, and the air traffic was closed down about 4 days later. So that was the story of 2020. Whatever we had planned, it didn't happen. Sometimes we go to the mountains and do medical missions, and our focus now is the jungle, but we have done a lot of medical missions among the Quechua Indians in the mountains. This setting is probably about 10,000 feet elevation. It's a great place to go and spend a week and find out if you have any heart issues. Seriously, people will come back to the States and say, man, they go straight to their doctor, and it's saved a lot of lives. They find out I do have a heart issue, and then they do something about it. So anyway, we were there a few years ago. These are pictures taken. That's by the way, the tallest mountain in the world. You wouldn't think so. But that's from measuring from the center of the earth to the top of the mountain. And I understand that it's a hump on a hump, and I don't know what I'm talking about, except that makes it the tallest mountain in the world. And it's called Chimborazo. We got the Quechua Indians together for a Sunday worship service. They rented this facility, and it's a work that was done before we ever arrived, and it's been the most prolific work, doing exactly what you're talking about, turning things totally over to them. They had a tent purchased for them in the early days, a pretty good sized tent, and they move it from village to village and evangelize. So it'll be in a village for a week, and then they'll have a week down moving and transporting that tent and getting it set up in some other village. And pretty much every other week, they're having an evangelistic campaign underneath that tent. And it just sit on straw, and there's no chairs. They equip it with what they're used to. And they will preach from early morning till late night. And they just go on. And people come in and out. Very informal. You can listen a while, and then you go out for a while. But they'll keep on preaching, and somebody will be talking. But they have, you can see in the lower right-hand corner, that's just a cross-section of that large coliseum that they rented. And those people traveled in. So that's certainly not everybody, all the brethren. It's just they came in, that many, to get together, and came in the backs of trucks and standing up, and get 40 people standing up in the back of some kind of truck. And so some of them came in to celebrate with us, and that was a great celebration that Sunday. We need to move on to what you are mostly involved in, and that's the Quito School of Biblical Studies. And I do not see a clock. You don't have David a clock anywhere in here. So, and I don't have my phone with me, so I'm timeless. Just give me a 5-minute warning if somebody would, okay? when I need to be stopped. The School of Bible started as an international school in '97. It's progressed to the point of graduating 240 students. In 2 weeks, I'll speak at the next graduation, and I'm not sure, probably 15 more will graduate. They've gone to 5. Did that change on its own? Okay, I've got to watch that. They've gone to five continents and 15 countries. Just God has taken them different places. Not only do we encourage churches to become nationalized or on their own, we really had in mind that this School of Bible eventually would take on a complete Latin American faculty. I was able to do that while I was there. I was the administrator for 20 plus years, and so I was the only Anglo on the faculty toward the end of that time. Then I turned it over to Joshua, and he's done it since then. As of this coming summer, one of these men, the one standing right close to the short one, standing close to Joshua, his name is Osvaldo. He's going to become the director of the School of Bible. And Joshua's going to step away and work more on church planting and just be a kind of chancellor and available to Osvaldo. And at that point, it's going to be a total national, here he is with his wife, Lourdes, national faculty. So Latin American faculty. That's going to be a great step. Something we've worked toward and are happy that it's coming about. Great staff members. You don't do something like this without having a good group of people around you. Everything from cooking, cleaning, and maintaining, administration. Just the financial scene itself takes a lot of work and organization, and to keep us accountable with every cent that goes down there and is spent. So we're really thankful for this faculty. The only trouble is Joshua said I wore them out. They're all getting old, and he's having to begin replacing some of the people that have been with us now for 20, even up to 30 years. That shouldn't have changed that fast, but it did show you we got a problem going on here. Does this go back? Yeah. Okay, see if I can stop this. For some reason, we're wanting to change without me giving it instructions. Okay, so we continue graduating. It's a 3-year program. They go through the school, so we always have some coming in and some going out. We keep around 40 to 45 students. They eat, the single ones especially, in the cafeteria every day, a couple of meals. And so it's a really busy place. There's not a place that's as busy as this real estate in the middle of Quito. The vocational program where we're stopped right now, Bob mentioned that took place after I stepped out of the directorship. Josh and I had talked about it, but he was able to partner with a VOTEC type school. And so we have ministry training, practical ministry scheduled into the students' schedule for every day. One of those 3 years, we opt out of the application of ministry and allow them to go to technical school at night. And what they do is to learn the practical things that can help them get a job, that would allow them to be supported on their own, cooking, repairing cell phones. I'm trying to think. That there's a nursing, electrician, beautician school. They can choose the area they want to go in. It's pretty amazing. And so they'll spend a year at night doing that, along with their school studies in Bible. And so they come out with a degree and a way to step right into supporting themselves. It's not going to happen that they are invited to come somewhere and be supported by the church. Almost never in Latin America. They might get an invitation. If you can come, we'll give you a small salary or maybe a place to live or something like that. But a full salary, a pulpit and a position and a salary, forget it. It just doesn't happen in Latin American culture. So we're wanting to make sure that we prepare our students in every way so that they can be out on the streets sharing the gospel in a normal way. What we do is, I'm going to need to hurry because I'm going to run out of time. This is talking about the certificate they get and everything from their education, their Bible studies to their degree with the Votech school. Joshua's got listed here some of the things that they're involved in, and we'll go over those one by one. I think will be the fastest way to do this. PLM is an idea that we came up with. It's one thing to work with 45 students, and that's great. But what about all the churches? Now, those graduates are going out and working with churches, but we kept having petitions to bring the Bible classes, the School of Bible curriculum to a congregation or to a congregational level. And so what we've done is we choose strategic locations where a church can host a weekend, and churches in that area can come and spend from Friday night or Friday afternoon through Sunday, and they will teach some 20 hours of Bible. Just say whatever teacher is responsible for the book of Romans, he would go down to that location and he would teach the book of Romans in approximately 20 hours. Now that's a load of sitting somewhere and listening to someone teach, harder on the teacher himself. But it's been very, very well accepted and very productive. I don't know what you know about Latin America, and this is just an example. Cali, Colombia is a small place, 3 million or 4 million people. Coastal city, southern Colombia. There's never been a North American able to live more than 2 years in Cali, Colombia, as far as I know. Pretty much each experience of trying to get a North American to go to Cali, Colombia has been a negative experience. And the cartel and what you've heard about Cali, Colombia is some of the reason. It's not been one of the most safe places for North Americans to go and live. But the church is there, and so are 3 to 4 million people, and the church has struggled. So that was chosen last year as one of the places for this PLM. And so they've gone up there through the year. Every 3 months they would send a teacher up, and churches from the Cali area would come together. And so they went through 3 or 4 sessions of this PLM program. And they said, can we have an actual graduation for those of us that finished? Yeah, it's a lesser, it's a boiled down version of what we do in Quito. But they actually had a graduation in Cali, Colombia. I've never been there. It's only an hour flight from Quito, but it's a city that needs the gospel. And this is one way that the church is beginning to go forward in places like that. Something that I talked about for years was that someday, some way down the road, we would like to offer a graduate degree in Bible. Sunset in Lubbock was impressed with, had worked with us, and they were convinced that the quality of Bible study that we were giving deserved their Bible degree that's licensed here in Texas. And how that converts to an international setting, that's just up to whoever gets it, or whoever, the opinions of different ones. Well, we've been giving a Bible degree to our qualifying students. Sunset does that. They get a certificate from us. They get a Bible degree from Sunset in Lubbock, who we are a branch school or an associate school. Let me get that right, with Sunset, and yet this graduate degree thing was still out there. Well, Joshua, he managed to get his doctorate. He's worked on that, and so now he is Dr. Joshua Markham, and he spearheaded this idea, let's go on with the graduate program. And so it's called RIB, and he's teamed up with Sunset and with their branch school in Houston, and there are enough teachers there who speak fluent Spanish, and we have shoulder tapped certain Spanish-speaking men who have a master's level or a doctorate level of study, and that's not me. And they are offering, for the first time in our brotherhood, a master's degree in Bible online, and it's being very, very well accepted. And a lot of our graduates who have gone out of our doors for a long time, they're doing that now. So that's all online stuff. El Puente, the bridge. Another thing Charlotte and I saw through the years, the church was growing in Quito. We'd see kids grow up in the church, and they hit the university years. They're working full time. They're studying full time. They have no time left over, and what do? A lot of times they forget the Lord. They're just too busy. We saw that happening at times, and we hurt with that. You've seen it happen. So what did we do years and years and years, decades ago? Any place like here, even Cameron University in Lawton, where I grew up, Oklahoma State, Norman, any place, we know the need to have some kind of campus center for college kids where they can go, where they can find Christian companionship, perhaps somebody that they want to marry instead of marrying into the world, a place that's evangelistic, just a place that's Christ-centered. University students can hang out there, and they're led to Christ or encouraged in Christ. We talked about that need for a long time. Joshua called me one night at 12 o'clock. Said, Dad, we have a great opportunity. And anyway, he'd found this old building that was a great price, and we were able to remodel that and find the money to buy it. And now we have, as of this last year, this started, it's a place where our single students can live rather than having them in apartments scattered around. They live there, and they work in ministry with people that are about their own age. And so this is a student center called The Bridge. You can see maybe the circles. The top circle is where we're located as a school of Bible in the Cologne Church. The circle to the left top, to the left on the top, is the largest university in the city, humongous. It's a government university. Down at the bottom right, you'll see two circles that are smaller, more private type universities. Well, at the very bottom in the orange rectangular block is, to the right of that is where this house is located. Now Joshua tells me that he can ride a bike from our location up on the top to that location in 3 minutes. And I said, I'm taking out an insurance policy on you. I think I can collect something pretty soon. It sounds dangerous to me. But anyway, they get around on bikes, and they know the bus system, and those people can converge on that house pretty quickly. It's just not as big as it looks. A lot of folks there, and somewhere around 100,000 university students at all times in 5 universities that are there. So I really believe this is going to be one of the most productive, exciting ministries that we've ever started. And again, COVID's really set everything back. It's limited what can take place. Ecuador is still shut down on weekends. On Saturday and Sunday, you can't, wherever you're at, you got to stay there. Churches have gone back to lockdown. They still haven't been able to meet except for a few weeks, and they went back into lockdown. So it's set it back, but it's going to be one of the greatest things that we've ever done. God's going to bless it, I believe, in a great way. Like I say, the single students are going to get some practical ministry about reaching out to people that are, their own age. The single women do not live there. It's just showing that they do come there and work in ministry as they on some kind of schedule. So it saves us on rent. We supervise our single students a little better, and they certainly live in better conditions. We were finding some sad conditions that they were living in rented places. The campus house is, what student centers are all about. A place to hang out, a place to have some fun, a place to socialize with Christian, in a Christian environment, and then also Bible studies. They will also, just like probably you do, I'm sure you do here, we will teach some of our Bible courses there in an accredited fashion, so that when they do get out of their secular studies, they can say, I've got 12 hours or whatever toward a Bible degree at the School of Bible. I think I'll finish that. And so those simple, more foundational courses, Life of Christ, Old Testament, New Testament survey, etc., is what will be taught. Romans, Acts, and they will get those under their belt. And that's what that slide's all about. Okay, let's keep going. Church planting is what it's all about. I'm going to have to go really fast. But we want to see our students get opportunities to work on teams. We pick cream of the crop guys or families to go into certain areas as a team. We can find sometimes, hopefully once a year, at least one church here in the United States that will sponsor a team to go to a targeted area. Tumbaco is a suburb of Quito. I don't know, guessing 300,000 to 400,000 people. It's where the new airport's been built. It's a nice cross section of people from poverty level to some of the most elevated incomes in the country, probably. So we had an interesting thing happen, is that two congregations that knew each other wanted to go together and sponsor this. So Sherman, Texas, and the Woodland West Church in Arlington are cooperating together to sponsor this work in Tumbaco, and it started last fall. So they are just now getting their feet on the ground. We're going to go as quick as we can. I'll just show you some of the places we've been and some of the places we want to go. These are areas that we still are targeting right now, from jungle to coast, where either the church is non-existent or where it has, maybe a small group of 10 or 20 people that have been 10 or 20 people for lots of years and are not impacting those massive populated areas. So we always keep several target cities on board, and even around in other countries from Peru to Colombia, we want to see some teams go. Just recently, because some of you know about, have heard of or crossed paths with Great Cities, used to be Continent of Great Cities. Well, they have looked at our work several times during the years and really like what we have done in terms of not supporting our teams fully, but asking them to work secularly half-time and work in ministry half-time. That's going to allow us to have more teams, because it's a less economic requirement to get them on the ground. So they are going to partner with us and try to help work together with us to reach some of the countries where we know that there are great needs in Colombia, Bolivia, Venezuela, and Mexico. some of our graduates and perhaps some from Baxter Institute in Honduras. I'm going to run through this real quick. I would have said more about this new church plant. There they are, but I want to thank you guys for what you have done. The University Church here had some extra mission money that you made possible for us, and we have refurbished our kitchen, and it is going to be ready to go as soon as COVID lifts its restrictions. This building was built and finished in '95. Believe me, this is the most used kitchen in our brotherhood. So it has worked for both school and church for a lot of years. We have a great cooking staff, but they have worn out this kitchen. So because it was shut down due to COVID, we've gutted it, and it is being remodeled totally into a new kitchen that will serve for a whole lot more years, and you guys have provided most all the funding for that. Pretty exciting. I'm getting excited to see it next week when we go. But Joshua sent these pictures just recently and wanted y'all to know how much they appreciate. This is to be able to graduate from this class today, you have to pronounce the name of this wood before you can leave. We had a carpenter from the camp that has built all new cabinets. It's called Laurel. Okay? Can y'all say that? Laurel. Laurel. All right. We appreciate you so much for making it possible. We better quit.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to show a video for 7 minutes before I preach.